Okay, welcome everyone to this meeting of the Finance Strategy Management Committee. Item number 1, apologies for absence.
We have apologies from councillors Gavachak, Hillier, Plant and Romans, and I believe Councillor Clark is substituting for Councillor Plant.
Okay. Item number 2, declarations of interest. Do we have any? Public participation. Do we have any members of the public who wish to participate? Okay. Moving on, minutes. To approve the minutes of the meeting held on the 8th of March. Do I have a motion for that? Mayor, all's in favour? Okay. Item number 5, finance, to receive the dashboard paper statement accounts, civil expenditure, investment performance updates, bank reconciliations, and summary of payments. Councillor Hamilton.
Very good. I've got 4 things to raise tonight, so I thought I'd make the meeting last more than 10 minutes. So
every little helps.
Yeah, every little helps, as I say. I was expecting to see Liz, the new Liz here, rather than the former Liz, but not here. But I do thank you for producing.
This helps us on leave.
All right, so
It was leave that was
fine.
put prior to.
I was going to thank her for writing the report, because councillors do read the reports, and it does make a difference to the detail she's gone to. And given this is a debut report, as I thought it was a very good report. So I was going to thank her for that, and say, obviously I've been through it in terms of the positive variances, but more so looking at the negative variances to see, are there any areas particularly that we should be looking at to see whether we can sharpen further our pencil, as it were. And obviously pertinent to later in the meeting, I see where the computer IT maintenance costs have exceeded budget. I'll be quite surprised, because at least 4 councils I know aren't getting IT or emails at the moment. That's beside the point. So I noticed
Actually, on that, it is right.
Yes.
As you have noticed in the reports, we are going to review the contract, the costs and the function that we receive from you. We've been with them for a long time. As you know, they were brought up about a year ago, and that can frequently lead to a change in performance. They have historically been very, very good for us, which is why we stuck with them. So that is subject to review. So thank you.
So the second thing I wanted to bring up was CapEx. I'm pleased to hear, as Sheridan mentioned, the figure that the Putting Green has made so far. That was budgeted to be built for 250,000. I understand it came in at 270,000. Surely that over expenditure should have come back to this committee first. I'm not saying it shouldn't have happened, but it should have come back. It's an over expenditure on a budget. It should have come back to this committee. Are you in agreeing to spend over? It's CapEx. It should have definitely. We basically approved up to 250,000, not over. And I'm pleased to hear that the Putting Green has made what it's made in the first few days, as it were. But that is something that, from a procedural point, should have come back to this committee first to be discussed, or it should have been discussed by what the finance committee approved it. So that was my second point I was going to raise.
Can we as we go along?
Well, I'll just finish if I may. The third point is really a point of tidying up. Sheridan, you've been the proper officer for some time, and it's still got Janet Wheeler on here in terms of Lloyds Bank and the credit card on page 35. Is it in the Lloyds Bank report? Page 29. The statement, the business account. It should be in your name. It should not still be in Janet's name. It's been kicking around for a year. Lloyds Bank no longer operate in Henley. I did suggest we go to NatWest, but I understand that NatWest might be closing as well. So,
sorry, what page are you referring to?
29.
29. Janet Wheeler. Still got Janet Wheeler's name. Any auditor coming in a year's time or 2 years' time will say, why was Janet Wheeler still on the credit card? Even though the credit card's in your possession.
The name should be changed, yes.
Yeah. And the last point I just wanted to make was, like Councillor Arler, I went through each of the pages of the expenditure. Page 35, Gazprom. We paid a bill of £1,239 to Gazprom. Can the town clerk confirm that we're not now with Gazprom and buying Russian gas? Because I don't think it would be right. I know other town councils and local authorities have hit the same problem, but can we confirm we're not now with Gazprom.
Shall I?
Can you
Yeah.
take those points?
Yes, so on the capital expenditure, thank you for raising that. So the Adventure Golf did come in on budget, which I'm very happy about. So there was the 250. However, in addition to that, there were the cost of the design, which were approved prior to that, and also additional marketing costs that were approved after that as well. So in total, it comes to 275. Although it might be slightly less than that, it depends on what we allocate to capital expenditure and what we allocate to the first year's running costs. For example, there are some items of marketing collateral that could fit in either. But yes, so at the moment we're saying it is costing about 275.
Just the principle is,
total.
if we agree a budget.
Just let the time. Okay.
You are entirely right. As you know from the scheme delegation, I wouldn't be able to incur any expenditure that hadn't been previously approved for capital expenditure from either this committee or the full council. Hence, any additional expenditure such as the marketing was brought back with this. The credit cards, is
I think there was also the cost of the planting out and landscaping sale, which were done separately, and some of those costs were incurred separately because our outside park service did those.
But that was actually included within the amount set aside from capital expenditure.
Let's be clear, all that expenditure was within budget, and the separate costs for design and so on were approved separate by this committee. So,
exactly.
so you're right to raise it, Councillor. The issue of correct procedures, but they have been followed in this case, and I hope you seem to be reassured. Can we come on to the next one?
Certainly, on the credit card, so the credit card is in my name, it's only the fact that the statement is made out to Janet Wheeler. But trying to change that with Lloyds Bank is rather difficult, as you know, with the fact that there is no branch in Henley anymore. But the credit card itself is in my name. With Gazprom, it was a couple of months ago now, because obviously the war has been going on for some time now. As soon as the crisis began, the question was asked around our contract with Gazprom, and we have asked that question of our broker, and we've sought other advice. The difficulty is that we began a new contract with them last year. I believe it's a 3-year, it might be a 3 or 5 year contract. We began that contract with them 3 years up until 2024. So we're in contract with them, and of course, were we to end the contract, then we could end up paying Gazprom and another supplier unless we're careful. However, we are taking our lead from central government guidance, and I believe it is being looked into at a central government level as well. So we're waiting to hear back on that. But we certainly share your concern, Councillor Hamilton, and if there is any way that we can potentially get out of the contract without incurring any penalties, then of course we will endeavour to do so.
And we should, I think, agree to report back when we have a clear answer on what the options are, and the costs that would be incurred. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up. It's a fair point.
If you, in terms of the gas cap, do we get reimbursed the money that we paid in?
They have obligations as well, so if you'd like the service while they're paying for it. Anyway, thank you for your thank you. I'm glad you examined it all the so carefully. I'm glad you spotted everything through the variances. Any other questions before we propose that we receive all these figures? Thomas. Seconder? Mayor, all those in favour?
Yeah, just to say, Chairman, that I'd already asked the town clerk my questions before the meeting. I can see any point in bringing them up at the meeting.
Probably in the chairs meeting.
No, that's what the chair is going to ask, not the chair.
I know, so probably in the chairs meeting if you asked the previous.
No, I think the point, and I was going to raise this, is that the town clerk has given an excellent set of answers to your questions, but it is more likely that you'll have the answers at his fingertips. If you do ask them in advance, they can always be reported here. So you're welcome to ask questions of officers where you have detailed concerns, if that's of your interest or something that we resolve. Item number 6, expenditure. So we have two reports here. So first of all, 6A is a report from the Community Infrastructure Levy, and I think the Deputy Town Clerk would like to speak to that. Do you want to join us at the table, or you're a bit of a long way there? Bring up a chair. Or sit just, yeah. We have some spare seats tonight. So there is a report here, but I think you wanted to add a few words to it. So.
Yes, I just summarise really. Say that the Community Land Trust, we're calling ourselves Community Land Trust Steering Group at the moment. It came out of the neighbourhood plan. We had a couple of sites put forward as part of the neighbourhood plan process that were potential sites for building community-led housing on. One of those is up at Highlands Farm, which is going through, has been taken forward by the neighbourhood plan committee and is now going through the neighbourhood plan process. It's with the examiner currently. But in order for the Community Land Trust Group to be able to apply for further funding and such like, we need to be an incorporated body. And after a lot of research and discussion with solicitors, the most relevant legal form of incorporation seems to be a community benefit society with exempt charitable status, but it will cost money to take proper legal advice and to go through this process. And as we can't actually apply for other grants at the moment, partly, but the town council has still available, we thought it was worth coming to the town council to apply for £1,000 or up to £1,000 of still money to be held by the town council on the Community Land Trust's behalf. This is already done with some agile funding that we received from the Cooperative Housing Hub for Oxfordshire. And then the town council would be able to cover, invoices would come straight to the town council for payment on behalf of the Community Land Trust. Once that's sorted out, then we can incorporate and hopefully sort out. That's right.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions or comments?
No, I'll support the recommendation, Chairman, on 44. Yeah, we all obviously know the CIL money is for infrastructure, and obviously this would be part of infrastructure if any houses were to be built. So I'm not a member of this group any longer, but they're doing a really good job, and hopefully in the end they'll be providing houses at low cost. So I'd totally support this.
Yeah. I argue as well. Anyone who talks to a lot of the people in the town will be aware that the affordability in the real term, not the technical planning term, the affordability of houses here is very difficult, particularly for young people. It would be a significant step forward in enabling people who were born here and brought up here to continue to live here as they grow up and wish to live here as adults and bring out their own family. So I think it's an excellent move, and I fully support it. Anyone else? Councillor Hunt.
Yeah, I'm fully supportive of giving this. I call it a venture because I'm unsure exactly of the formation of the Henley Community Land Trust. I just question, Is it outside of the town council, or is it part of the town council? Is it aligned to the town council? Is this effectively a grant that we're giving, that we're supporting from the town council through seal money? Because I'm fully supportive of it. I just want to question who's the Henley Community Land Trust is. How does it report back?
Councillor Arnold answer that. He's
Let me answer.
I know Councillor Arnold was involved from the very early stages.
Which I do. Yeah, I'm sure if you'd looked into this more, what
I read the pages at the start.
yeah, I know that there are other areas around, and Tame is one where they have a community land trust, and they are fully involved. The town council at Tame are fully involved with the community land trust there, and they have members of their council on the trust. So you know, it may well come to that in the end, but you know, the town council are playing an active part in this to get it off the ground, and without the town council, it may not get off the ground. Over to you, Deputy Town Clerk.
I'd just say that the steering group at the moment is made up of both councillors and members of the public. It's not officially a town council group, I would say, but the planning committee did vote to support the CLT last year.
Should it be an outside body? Would that be a sensible place for it to go?
Well, it is an outside body, no,
But it's not, then it has to go on the list as an outside body.
that's not really a matter for.
Well, it is.
An outside body is just an informal list of bodies that
Yeah, but
we are aware of. It doesn't add anything.
yeah, because
or
then it
take
has a
anything away.
councillor put onto it on a regular basis. Maybe two councillors, or maybe three councillors, or maybe two, you know, from different parties, as it were. At the beginning of the year, the beginning of the civic year, we put people onto a civic body, onto an outside body. If it's becoming an outside body, I'm fully supportive. I just think it's tidier to agree up front, is it an outside body or not an outside body?
The outside body has no formal status. It's simply an organisation that we recognise exists and have an informal arrangement where we, informal in many cases, sometimes formal trustee, an informal arrangement whereby we have a councillor who sits on it and reports back. Councillor, can you help us?
Yeah, I think, Chairman, the situation is fairly simple, and I'm not sure why Councillor Hamilton is making it difficult. This would be a benefit for the town. It has town council officer support at this moment in time. I'm not sure what other outside bodies have officer support out there. I'm trying to think of someone, I can't think of one at the moment, but there may well be. So it has officer support at the moment, has town councillors on it. So one will consider, you know, we as a town council are part of this body trying to get it off the ground. Now, once it gets off the ground, it may well be an outside body. At this moment in time, I don't believe it is an outside body.
And just to, oh, sorry, Councillor.
Well, I was just going to second what Councillor Arnott said. At the moment, it's a steering group, as Kath Adams actually said at the start. So at the moment, it wouldn't qualify as an outside body, in my opinion.
Well, I think one of the problems, or one of the things that need, pieces of work that need to be done is to draw up a formal constitution and whatever that might be, which is the name of the structure. I did underline the Community Benefit Society, and that's obviously, once that's established, we can decide our formal relationship with that organisation. But we can't at the moment because it's still starting out. So I think this is a rather sterile debate. Perhaps more importantly, I did check to see how the money that we're setting aside here, or putting earmarking, how that funds will be accessed by the steering group, and it will stay within the town council. These funds and so financial regulations will apply. We won't write a cheque to the organisation which doesn't yet exist. We will be asked to write a cheque to fund a specific piece of work, which will be the purchase order will be raised by Kath, who's the officer, and approved by the town clerks. That's the mechanism by which. So we're not awarding a grant. You could ask this question, so that's how the finances work. So it stays within the town council until it's provided for the purpose that we're going to vote for now. Was that did I get that right, Sharon?
Yes, yes.
Thank you. Okay, so I think we're ready to vote. We have a proposal and seconder that we adopt as on the agenda. All those in favour? Item 6B, up to 11,200 from CapEx for basketball division at Makins. Did you have anything to say there? I think most of it's fairly clear. I did ask one or two questions.
Thank you. So the report is a copy of a report that has already been discussed by the Recreation and Communities Committee. This is only amount that's being set aside in principle, and it is all subject to public consultation and further fundraising in order to make it happen.
So to be clear, we're not awarding, we're not spending this money or making a decision to spend this money now. We're basically saying that we support the principle of it, and we will and we plan to fund up to 11,200 if the project raises sufficient other funding and is successful in other ways, such as compensation. So we would like to.
Can I just suggest, tennis court thing, what I call down YMCA, which is fenced in, can you possibly use that as a basketball court instead of building one?
I'm not familiar with it. There was a football pitch down there. That's about all I know.
It was a small one.
Yes,
Fenced area as well.
sorry.
So, I mean, what will happen, I expect what will happen, is that these kind of possibilities will be considered. It doesn't have to be. We'll look at what the community wants, what options there are, and so that's something that you can put in once the process starts. So nothing's ruled out at this point, because we're not making a decision. Will or won't happen. I can have a proposal.
Yeah, I'd like to propose acceptance of it in its entirety.
I'll just speak to that with just one thing. Appendix 1 versus Appendix 2. £11,200 is a lot of money for a basketball hoop, but you've got to bear in mind that this thing gets swung on, so it needs to be of good construction. And that's why I'm just going for the bottom picture, not the top picture. The top picture will last about 10 minutes.
These are purely illustrative.
Yeah, I just wanted to make it clear. 11,200 for a basketball hoop is an awful lot of money. So we're spending. What we're saying is we're putting the money aside. We're not actually spending it.
Correct.
I'm just noting that the construction of the thing, whenever it is constructed, needs to be.
These are robust. And,
yeah,
it
will last 10 minutes.
I mean, the other point I make is that Mike Kennedy, when he was town clerk 7 or 8 years ago, produced a proposal, a general purpose sort of sporty games facility.
He did.
And
I'm
I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to remember the details, but that may be an option worth researching. It was about 2013 when he proposed that. And I think it was in the end. Anyway, because of the second. Sorry,
I'll just ask a question. Can I just ask a question? You know, where has this come from? You know,
I think there's an individual who suggested it.
12-year-old boy.
I think he spoke at
He spoke at RNA.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Of course, it was referred to in the. So that's investment.
Yeah, he's a pupil at Gillock's. He came here with his parents and some friends and spoke very, very well.
And I think it's worth considering. It's a sort of sporting facility. We've done quite a few in recent times, and from the skate park to the adventure golf and many others.
Yeah, they did explain that at the moment they're having to drive to Reading to participate in basketball. So this would be a local place that they can practice.
yeah, I'll just take up what Councillor Clark said. And very, very rarely do I understand where he's coming from at times, but saying that again, he's correct actually. You know, Henley YMCA would be absolutely perfect for them. You know, it'd almost be a full-size court down there to play on. And even if we were to purchase a couple of hoops either end, to me, it's there. It's, you know, it's, I'm not sure how well it's used out there. That'll be the next question. But you know, just to put a 6 by 6 metre square with a basketball net does seem a bit strange. So I think we should probably look into, you know, the YMCA, what's on offer there, and if the lads could use that. You know, I'm sure we can make a small grant towards the use down there.
It should certainly be included in the consideration.
Yeah.
Try and see.
And I do remember the old skate park had a basketball here.
But that's not that's got snapped.
Okay, we have a proposal and a seconder. Ready to vote? All those in favour? Thank you. Investment review, to receive an update on the review of the council's investment strategy. So we have a policy of reviewing every 5 years our investment managers. There's a report here which indicates the status of that, which is drawn up by the two visitors. The two visitors. So, and there is a proposal here that we review how we review them and get advice on that. We have already received some informal advice from any resident, which is very good. I think it pointed out to us that firstly we should take a number of different aspects we should be taking care to consider as part of the review. And I think the point was also made that we could, by appointing better investment managers or by setting them better goals, we could improve our return. I think that was the gist of this report. If you want to add anything.
Thank you. So, as you say, there's been a lot of work primarily put in by the former accountant, Liz Jones, and as you can see from the report, we did put the contract out to tender, and we didn't really get a good response. It almost seems that there seems to be a bit of a gap in the market here for somebody to actually provide impartial advice as to how we should be investing. There are a lot of people who will actually invest our money for us, but very few people who seem to want to advise us on how we should do it. So the only tender that we did for in the region of £10,000, which does seem like a lot of money, and it is a lot of money. The question is, given the size of the council's investment portfolio, whether or not, if that £10,000 is to review how we invest over, say, a 5-year period. If you see only a marginal return of anything in excess of, say, £2,000 per annum over and above what we already received, then it should pay for itself. However, it may well come back and say, actually, no, what you're doing is absolutely fine, and that's cost us £10,000 to do so. So is there a risk? Yes, there certainly is. Do we have any better suggestions at the moment? Probably not at the moment. So the two options are, well, there are three options. We could do nothing. We could continue as we are. The second option is that we could look into it now, or the third option is that we could wait until next year. One of our investment managers has been given fresh instruction only a couple of months ago, and it may well be that the council feels that allowing, say, a year to see how the investment manager can perform on a par with our other investment manager, that might give us a bit more extra information to make more of an informed decision.
I personally prefer option 3. Let's give this fund manager time to work on that new set of instructions that he's been issued from the Town Council, and then only then should we go for potentially go for a review. And that's how I see it. You know, we've picked up the difference between the two fund managers. We picked that up at the last meeting. We've corrected it. Let's give it a chance to see if it makes any difference.
Yeah, so, certainly a fair point. Councillor Thompson.
I was the chair actually when we reviewed it last time round, which was 5 years ago. And time flies. But we hadn't reviewed it for 12 years, which is why we reviewed it 5 years ago. And I'm of the same view as you, that we should give the investment manager time to see what the change of instruction, see what change of instruction, see what the effect is of the change of instructions. I'm also wary of councillors getting informal advice, because we should be paying experts to give us expert advice. But on this one, we actually we expect our investment managers to come back and advise on the portfolio and advise on their performance, and they are the, if you like, the gatekeepers of that portfolio. They are charged, we pay them already to come back to look after investments. That's what they charge us a fee for. So they are actually doing that job of, yes, they're running a portfolio, but they are managing funds within that portfolio, whatever they might be. And we are paying a fee for them to manage that portfolio and to report performance. So what we're saying now, if we get this report, is we're then getting another load of consultants in to go over the work that they've done, which is doing due diligence on those portfolios. And whilst I would do it every 10 years, I wouldn't do it every 5 years. And I understand, you know, everyone looks at the returns and says, well, it's up, it's down, it's up. But ultimately, it's the councillors around the table, and there are councillors that understand the portfolios who can give advice and put the council in the best position. I don't feel we are at a point whereby we need to bring in consultants to question the performance of our current investment portfolio. Maybe in 5 years' time, after 10 years, every 10 years, perhaps it's worth doing. But I would absolutely stray away from informal meetings with whichever investment manager around the town, because all they would do is say, oh, we can do better for you. And then suddenly enough, they come back in 6 months' time, well, could we pitch for your business? Which is probably the problem that Sheridan's had, that he's mentioned, that there's lots of people who want our money, but very few people that want to advise about our money.
Slightly confused argument.
Must be there.
I'm not sure whether you're arguing that we should carry out a review or not.
No, I'm with Michelle, we should not at this time. At this time.
Yeah, I'm with the deputy mayor, but for a different reason. I don't think this council now should choose an investment company. I think the election's a year away. I'm sure you'll be sitting there in a year's time, chairman. But I think it should be left for the new council to make any changes. So I would just leave things where they are. And as I say, let's just see how they work over the next 6 months, 9 months, and then review that.
I think that's there are a number of good arguments made for not doing it now and doing it in the course of next year. At the election, as you say. I think it's important to understand there's a distinction here between an investment manager and the people that, sort of the organisation that will be looking to provide advice on choosing an investment manager. Because there is you have to be able to assess the quality of the bid from the investment manager, and you have to be able to give good directions on how they report back in a way that allows a good comparison. And I think it was obvious, we left it too long, and when they were appointed, we gave them instructions which were interpreted differently, and that was a mistake. We also confused the advisor that we took on at that point with the investment manager we appointed, whereas it turned out to be the same company, which I think was also a mistake. And so there are a number of sort of lessons we can learn, but I think in other circumstances we would review now. I think 5 years is reasonable. The other reason not to is that obviously the last 2 years, against which significant parts of the last 5 years will be measured, have been wholly exceptional years, and that those haven't finished yet, and may yet continue to be unstable given the nature of global finances. So I think there are a number of good reasons to defer this decision now. And so could you actually make a proposal, Councillor? Some sort of
I do propose.
You propose that we defer
We
its
defer.
consideration? I'll second.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for at least a year.
And, is there anything more we should add? Okay. All right. So we have a proposal. We have a second. We've I think we discussed it some way. All's in favour? All right. To can we stand you down? Actually, yes. Don't have to watch online, so which they're very welcome to do if you are there, Henley Standard, and other media organisations feeling our listening to on YouTube. I propose the exclusion of public and press to consider that public and press be excluded from the remainder of the meeting in accordance with the Public Bodies Permission to Meetings Act 1960 as publicity will be prejudicial to the public interest by reason of the confidential nature